I am both impressed and unimpressed at the same time. Now let's talk about it.
Hitler, what's the matter, little guy?
The Puppet Master Axis movies. That is what is the matter, Satan.
Puppet Master Axis of Evil is the first installment in the Axis trilogy, and the 10th movie overall. That's right, Charlie, I count the crossover, even if it was so bad. This movie takes place moments before and then immediately after the opening from the 1989 film. We're introduced to a young man named Daniel. Danny here has polio, or had. He's crippled up and can't go out to fight the Nazis like he's always dreamed of, so he's stuck at home, where he's currently working for his uncle at the Bodega Bay Inn building furniture. While this little meet and greet is happening, we see Blade running around outside. This is literally the opening scene from the first film. Not a con, just point that out. I will say though, the picture quality was so good, I briefly thought they might have recreated it. Of course you'll get the same effect if you watch it on Blu-ray or 4K, but just compared to the original version of the film I watched, and then seeing the HD one, looked so much better. We got back and forth a bit from Danny to Blade, and eventually we get to the point where Toulon puts his dolls away, and then, you guessed it, he blows his brains out. Danny ends up heading to Mr. Toulon's room, wanting to see if he could be of any assistance to him, hoping to earn a little extra cash. And that's when he bumps into the Nazis. And boy, I really wish we didn't get their backstory. It is not. And here we see the aftermath of the shooting. The room was looted and Toulon sits dead in his chair. It's not a perfect recreation of the original set, but it's close enough. I mean, you'll definitely notice when they go from reused footage to new footage, but it hopefully won't ruin the moment that much. Danny, strangely unfazed by the corpse, walks over to Toulon's hiding place and takes the puppets out. I'm not sure why exactly he knew the puppets were there, but he did. And rather than, you know, not tampering with shit, he decides to rob the man. It's not like his dead ass is gonna use them puppets anymore. At least not for a few more years. Heading back home to LA with his new box of toys, Danny's reminded by pretty much everyone that he's a crippled who will never serve in the army. And this makes him pretty bummed. And while we meet his mom and girlfriend Beth, we occasionally cut to the Nazis, who came here to get Toulon's stuff, as well as work with Japanese people to blow shit up. Eventually, since one Nazi stops by Beth's work, Danny realizes they're here and follows one around, leading him to the theater where the Nazis and Japanese are working out of. They spy a little, by they, I mean him and the dolls, and after a little scuffle they part ways. Oh yeah, Danny learned they were real living things. At one point he sees a metal injection hole, which was carried over from the Demonic Toys movie by the way, and then he finds a vial and needle along with new ninja puppet and goes, yes, this must be magical life-giving potions. I need to fill the puppets with this. And so he does it. Also, Jester's like the main puppet, at least after about 30 minutes when puppet shit actually starts happening. I mean, he easily has the most screen time at the start, but then for some reason, he just despawns. I don't know why this franchise is so afraid of using him, but it's genuinely annoying. Jester whacked a dude in the nuts once, he shanked a guy in the face once, and I guess he assisted Pinhead in one of the kills in part 3. Other than that, dude does nothing but react. Not a bad thing, I don't mind his reaction faces, but holy shit, use this puppet. Anyway, he's gone after a certain point, so the Nazis track down Danny's family. How? Well, you see, one of them called the Bodega Bay Inn, and somehow, without knowing anything about Danny, learned who Danny was, and got his information. Never mind the fact that he was working for his uncle, so he wasn't official staff, or the fact that information isn't just freely given like that. I don't know how he was able to even learn the man's name, but he did, and so one of the Nazis go to his house. The mom and Danny's brother end up dying, and Beth gets kidnapped. Danny returns home that day, puts his brother into the ninja puppet, and heads to the theater with the dolls for revenge. And, you know, stop the whole bombing thing. Two Japanese people along with the Nazis and ninja end up dying. Then the Japanese woman steals some of the puppets and makes her escape. Don't know why no one tried to stop her, but yeah, cliffhanger, ooh, so cool. So starting off with the biggest compliment I can give this film, it looks nice. It's a very good looking movie. Keep in mind I'm saying this after watching 9 other Puppet Masters, so it may not be comparable to some sick 2023 film, but this thing actually looks like a movie, like actual movie theater quality shit. The video quality and shots in this film are really good. Now, when it comes to the characters, I was not that big of a fan of any of them. I mean, sure, Danny's better than someone like Tank from Curse, but to be fair, that guy wasn't anything special. I guess his brother was pretty alright. I mean, you know, aside from the racist stuff. Something to keep in mind with some of these films, and especially just any non-PG film set in a time like this, is there's gonna be some racist shit. Whether implied or made crystal clear, there's gonna be things that'll make some people pretty uncomfortable. I mean, this is a film with actual Nazis. Just know that if that sort of acted out content bothers you in films, specifically towards Japanese people, this might get annoying fast. There's also World War II era slurs thrown at the Germans. That could be offensive to some people as well. Personally, I think the name given to them is pretty stupid. Like, the best the Americans could come up with is shortening sauerkraut. It's really dumb, but it may still offend people, so yeah, heads up for that stuff. Moving on, I liked what little we got with the puppets, specifically the Leech Woman's food kill and the drill kill performed by Tunneler. But man, this movie seriously underuses them. They get a handful of scenes, and only a few of them have them moving to any serious degree. I mean, when Beth first meets them and goes, "Whoa, they're alive," they literally just stood there. Like, Beth, those could have been statues, you dumbass. But whatever. Now I suppose I could complain about Pinhead's long neck, Tunneler looking like a Chinese Elmer Fudd, or the bad acting. But I want to move on to Axis Rising. In the end of the day, I'd rate 2010's Puppet Master Axis of Evil a 7 out of 10. This movie is the beginning of a trilogy, and it sure feels like one. It can be slow sometimes, but I found it pretty decent. At least for a film in this franchise, though that's not saying much. 7 out of 10 is me being very generous. If you've seen this movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Have a nice day.
Looking for more horror fun?
You're goddamn right.
Then check out the VHS comic book series, a parody of the horror genre that follows the lives of 3 teens as they fight to survive a horror movie, where every day is loaded with blood, boobs, and buds. The first 2 issues can be found in the description below.
I was obsessed with